Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the recap and breakdown. Today we're taking a look at UFC 323, Dvalishvili versus Piotr Jan 2, which just took place on December the 6th, 2025. We had around 16 fights on the card. We had 2 title fights, and we had some stacked finishes. We had 9 finishes on the card, 1 unfortunate injury. We are going to get into it, starting off with the early prelim opener and ending with the main event. Let's get right into it with that early prelim opener that was Marion Santos versus Muhammad Naimov. It was actually a really, really solid fight. I had Marion Santos going into this fight. We actually did get the first 5 fights perfect going into this card. I had Marion Santos by knockout, and I just had a feeling that Muhammad Naimov was going to end up getting clipped. He has a bit of a tendency to kind of back out straight, and he kind of backs out with his chin in his air. Marion Santos follows through with a lot of cross combinations, and he likes to end up getting in close quarter situations where guys try to dip, and he ends up dipping before they do and coming over with a hook when they come back up top. Now, Marion Santos is a very, very good boxer. Hasn't had a knockout since Khan Ofli, but I had a feeling coming into this one that Muhammad Naimov did get submitted by Felipe Lime. I think he would have been a little bit more stressed with the boxing because Bogdangrad did take him the distance and did give him some big combinations to worry about, and Muhammad Naimov doesn't really do well with pressure. He doesn't really do well with guys in his face and guys always putting pressure on his ass, and Marion Santos is the perfect guy to do that towards him, so I picked Marion Santos. It was a very, very good fight and a very solid knockout in round 3 after 2 rounds of beating the shit out of Naimov. He was a minus 450 favorite going into the second round. He was a minus 800 favorite going into the third round, and he put him out in 20 seconds into the round. A very quick knockout and a very good one at that. Under 2.5 rounds hit as well. That was paying, I think, 4-1 or something like that. It was pretty ridiculous to give that type of edge to Marion Santos, a guy who's literally more of a finisher than he is a decision guy. But it is what it is. A very good win, and I'm excited to see what Marion Santos can do, especially with guys that have a little bit better wrestling. See if they can put it together and get him on his ass and see if they can do some work. Now, next on the prelims, we had Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antonio Tricoli. I took Malik. I don't know how you would pick Antonio Tricoli here. I did take knockout. Unfortunately, we did not hit the knockout prop. We did hit round 1, though. You can see it here on the right-hand side. We did get the first 5 fights correct. Tricoli, realistically, he shouldn't really be inside the UFC. This guy just played like a big poker tournament. That was one of the things that they were talking about. They weren't highlighting any of his training. They weren't highlighting any of his opponents that he's fought. They were literally talking about how he just won and got placed 6th in the World Poker Series, one of the tournaments. The WPT, the World Poker Tour. I'm not exactly sure why the fuck that matters. And realistically, looking at Antonio Tricoli's career, the only fight that he realistically could have won whatsoever is his fight against OSP that got canceled in 2022. I don't know how the fuck he's even inside the UFC anymore. You can see they've been trying to get him out the whole time. Umar Sy, canceled fight, which he would have got knocked out. Ikram Askarov, canceled bout, which he would have got knocked out. Shara Magomedov, he got knocked out. Trejan Gore choked him out in the first round. Mansour Abdul Malik choked him out in the first round. He's probably gone now. A really easy win for Malik. I mean, he doesn't look all that good, to be completely honest. He does look a little questionable, especially against Cody Brundage. There was a lot of flags thrown in the air with that one. But I guess for who he is and what he is, he does look pretty impressive. I guess he looks a little bit small, but it is what it is. He's got range, he's got reach, and he's got some really, really hefty wrestling approaches that he just dominates with. He looks good. Cody Brundage gave him a run for his money, but I guess when he fights strikers, he kind of puts them down. Now, next on the prelims, we had Iwo versus Ebo. Put that in your fucking tongue twisters. Iwo Baraneshki versus Ebo Aslan. I had Iwo by knockout in the first round. I just had a feeling that he was going to outdog Ebo Aslan, a guy who, when he gets tagged, he kind of falls apart a little bit. I was wrong, okay? I was wrong about that going into it. Ebo Aslan got tagged bad. I think there was 5 or 6 knockdowns in 30 seconds, and Ebo both got knocked down at least twice, and Ebo still kept coming forward even after getting knocked down a couple times, which is very, very impressive. Just the last knockdown, the overhand right for Ebo put down Ebo pretty bad, and he just followed it up with 2 punches or 3 punches, and Ebo was out cold. They stopped the fight, and Ebo was running around screaming at the top of his lungs, very excited to finally get a win inside the UFC after getting his Contender Series win recently against Muhammad Ali. Now, A good win for Ewo. I'm a little bit concerned with his range. He did get into a firefight with Ebo, who's the guy who just kind of wings punches left and right. He's not always going to get that situation going forward inside the UFC. They probably will give him another brawler and just let him put another guy out, and then he will probably get an actual test. Right now, inside light heavyweight, there is a lot of tests. There's a lot of big guys, and there's a lot of really, really good guys that are coming out of the Contender Series, a lot of guys that are coming out of regional scene that are actually coming up in weight because those weight classes are actually easier for a lot of guys. So there's a lot of talent is starting to come through those divisions, and still like welterweight and stuff, they're still coming through. But at light heavyweight, man, you're going to start getting guys for Ewo where they're going to start jabbing him, they're going to be on the outside, they're going to outkick him. He's going to have to get down and dirty in fights, and he's going to have his chin as a weapon. That's a bad thing for a fighter, especially at heavyweight, man. You're going to get fucked up. You're once that chin gets cracked, she gone. He got cracked 3 times here. If he keeps getting cracked like that in most of his fights, you'll see a turntable real fucking quick for a guy's career like that. He will no longer be able to throw shots anymore by 32, 33. He's probably got only a couple years left if he keeps getting in fights like that. He needs to start working on that range a little bit on the outside, maybe some kicks. Or he has to start working on some takedowns and just start mauling guys. He does have a nice arm bar. He's got good submissions. He's got a long amateur career, but again, a lot of knockouts. Just look out for Ewo. He's a problem. He needs to be careful. He can't. I've seen this with guys before. He just can't overextend himself like that, especially with 76 inches or 73 inches of reach at light heavyweight at 6 foot. You need to be careful. Now, next on the prelims, you had Jalen Turner versus Edson Barboza. This one was pretty clear what was going to happen. I think the only people taking Edson Barboza this week were people just infatuated with the name, infatuated with the person. And that's understandable, dude, okay? Like, he's a really, really big fan favorite, a really big fan name. And he's been inside the UFC for a long time, fought the best of the best, and still chooses to keep fighting at 30... well, basically 40 years of age by the time his next fight comes around. I think he should retire, in my opinion. This fight really, really showed that he's kind of done. Jalen Turner put him out pretty bad. He was hitting him with some nasty shots. I thought it could have been stopped sooner, honestly. But they tried to give Edson every chance in the book. It kind of looked really sad, almost like when Jose Aldo was getting beat up by Piotr Jan, almost identical to that. He was just kind of getting his ass whooped, and they kind of gave him every chance, and eventually they just were forced to stop it. Jalen Turner turned it on, really showed with the bald hair that he's nasty as fuck. He's so good. He's got really good power. He's really rangy too. He was punching down on Edson. He was so tall. Like, he's punching down 4 inches. He's kind of just hitting him with thudding shots every single time. And Turner does not fuck around, man. He's a round one finisher. He gets it done always, or he'll get it done against himself. He puts it all out in the first round, and he always gets it done. Another good win for Jalen Turner. Finally get back in that win column, man. It's a nice feeling, I know. And against a legend like that, I know it was hard for Jalen. He was actually crying after that, but it'll feel good in a couple weeks, I'm sure. Now, next on the prelims, you had Bruno Ferreira versus Marvin Vettori. Bruno Ferreira put on a show against Marvin Vettori, just kind of showed out. Won all 3 rounds for a lot of people. I guess I would say he won all 3 rounds too. Marvin Vettori just didn't really have anything for him. He was getting beat up, bleeding out of his mouth, bleeding out of his nose. He had a cut. Bruno Ferreira wasn't really... I don't think he had any damage on his face. Vettori was getting hit with the cleaner shots. Even though Vettori was hitting and landing a little bit more than Ferreira was, it was just Bruno Ferreira landing the more damaging strikes and landing the more impactful decision-making strikes when it came to judging. It was a close fight, I guess, on paper, but not really for the judges. It was pretty easy to call it out. Marvin Vettori's at the point in his career where he's not evolving anymore, and he's kind of on the downturn. He should probably go out to the regional scene and just kind of have fun over there, because if he's not going to improve with the UFC PI that they're literally gifting him over there, he hasn't won a fight all fucking year. He needs to start improving this ASAP, because he hasn't won a fight since March 18th of 2023. The only thing he's won at all is against ADXC, and that doesn't even mean anything against Tariq Suleiman, a guy who's an absolute fucking bum, by the way. He's on Paulo Costa level at this point. Paulo Costa just beat, Roman Kopylov. That's actually a good win. But not being able to beat from Bruno Ferreira, don't ever bet or pick Marvin Vettori for anything ever again. He's done. He's cooked. I picked Bruno Ferreira there too. Just don't even touch it. Don't even get near him anymore. Faraz Zaim versus Nazim Sadikov next on the prelims. I picked Nazim Sadikov by knockout. I really felt like his range wasn't going to really be an issue. I felt like he was going to be able to get on the inside against Faraz Zaim, a guy who got pieced up by Terrence McKinney, a guy who didn't deal well with the overwhelming pressure of McKinney. And unfortunately, Sadikov didn't really move. Sadikov just kind of got chewed up on the outside in the first round and then eventually just got chewed up and knocked out in the second round. Faraz Zaim landed some fucking nasty elbows on the side of the temple against Nazim Sadikov right at the end of the second round and put him out. The ref stopped the fight with 1 second to go and just didn't give any leeway whatsoever. Nazim Sadikov looked at him like, why would you stop it? And then started stumbling around. It's a pretty obvious good stoppage. Unfortunate for me. I needed Sadikov for a fat ticket, but it is what it is. Faraz Zaim, I really should have trusted him here. I thought, realistically, that Terrence McKinney fight really had a bad taste in my mouth. But I guess Faraz Zaim in his recent fights, he looked really good against Mike Davis, which I don't really rate Mike that high, but it is what it is. Matt Favola knockout. Claudio Puella split decision, which I thought he lost that fight, by the way, which is another reason why I didn't want to fucking take him whatsoever. But again, I guess this isn't really a grappler. This is more of a guy who's just a fucking brawler, and a brawler in Nazim Sadikov who didn't even do shit. He didn't even run in whatsoever. He just kind of let himself get knocked out. Really sad performance from Nazim Sadikov. I hope he comes back a little bit better than whatever the fuck that was. The boys in Brooklyn are fucking 0-2 against Faraz Zaim now. This is just absolutely pitiful. If you see Longo MMA against Faraz Zaim, bet Zaim. They just do not know how to fucking figure this kid out. They've had multiple chances. They still fuck it up. Next in the prelims, you had the People's Champ back, guys. The People's Champ, Macy Barber. She's finally back after all those injuries and all the fuck-ups and all the seizures. She fought Karine Silva on Saturday night, and she looked beautiful, man. She looked absolutely stunning. She looked better than ever, using her boxing really well. The grappling was really solid from Barber, and she's just so good. She really put it together. She was really dominating on the feet. Karine Silva really couldn't do anything. A very interesting prospect, a very, very good fighter that I was actually really hyped about coming in to the UFC, and Macy Barber just put her down. I had Macy Barber, but the way she handled Karine Silva, who's a high-level prospect in my head, is fucking disgusting. She beat the shit out of that girl, and a girl who's out of the fighting nerds as well. I'm really excited for Macy Barber. I'm excited for the future because at 27 years of age, bro, she's got a lot of time. She's got a lot of improvement to come through. And if she's going to get better than what this is fucking crazy. She's going to be championship level soon. The future tag is truly the proper tag for her. Next on the prelims, you had Chris Duncan versus Terrence McKinney. Now, this fight wasn't even fair. I'm going to go through this one quick. This one wasn't even fair. This one pissed me off, actually. Terrence McKinney rocked the shit out of Chris Duncan, by the way. Bad. Oh, and then he rocked him again. Bad. Really bad. And then he rocked him again. Really bad. And then he rocked him again. Really bad. And then he rocked him again really bad. And then he rocked him again really bad. And Chris Duncan just keeps eating. Just munching those shots for breakfast. Munching. And Terrence McKinney starts throwing and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And then he starts going for, I don't know what the fuck it was. I think he was just trying to go for some dumb fucking knee or something. And then he got caught. And he basically gets put the fuck out. He's literally not even conscious anymore on the floor. He's getting punched in the head by Chris Duncan. The whole table's turned. He's getting rocked in the head. The ref's like, oh, you got to move. And Terrence is just covering his face, just getting rocked in the face. And then he like gets up. He's barely alive and he's holding on. And he's like trying to find any way to get like finished. He's like, oh, just give him my neck. And then like he's trying to fuck with the neck. It doesn't do anything. So I was like, oh fuck. And so he's like standing up, and then Chris just goes, oh, bloop to the ground and gets an anaconda choke. And literally he wasn't even in it for 2 seconds. Terrence is like, I'm done. And fucking tabs. And then he immediately gets up. He's like, oh bro, good fight, bro. Just because he couldn't get him with the fucking knockout. It looks like Terrence just gave up. Whatever. It's fine. Fuck you, Terrence. I had Terrence, but Chris Duncan, again, unfair chin, unfair life. This guy lives again. He loses to Manuel Torres, who realizes that he can't knock him out and just chokes him out. But Terrence McKinney is a fucking black belt, looks nasty as fuck on the ground, has insane transitions. But what does he do? No, you got to go for the knockout. Don't choke out Chris Duncan. Just go for the knockout. This next one was pretty sick too on the prelims. You had the highlighted prelim of the evening, Manuel Torres versus Grant Dawson. They were looking for a finish in this fight. And I don't know how the fuck Grant Dawson was even a bigger favorite come fight time. By the way, the favorite right here, it says minus 250. Grant Dawson was a minus 325 come fight time. That should never have happened. Manuel Torres beat the fuck out of this kid. There was no way for Grant Dawson to even enter, and every time he did enter, he got clipped on the inside. So Manuel Torres literally just stayed away, sat really, really low with his hips, and Grant Dawson was like, okay, I guess we're boxing, and tried to walk around and box. And what does he do? Slips on the inside and tries to throw a 4-punch or a 2-punch slip against a guy in Manuel Torres who throws like fucking 5 pieces and just chins guys. Or he just throws a left fucking elbow and just chins guys like he does with Nicholas Mota, where he put him out with a left elbow and just smacked him in the face twice when he's out cold on the ground. Like, this kid is nasty as fuck, and you're trying to slip on the inside with him? What are you doing? Manuel Torres just waited, hit him with a 1-2, waited for him to slip, and you hit him with a 1, and then an uppercut right through the guard, and just dropped his ass, and just fucking slammed him out, and it was done. He got knocked out basically like a fucking rag doll. It was not good. It was not a good fight for Grant Dawson. His wife just won her fight by split decision this weekend on Friday, and then he goes and fucking gets smoked like that. He was like, hopefully on Saturday, well, we're going to have a kid. Yeah, you're not having a kid on Saturday, buddy. You had no sex on Saturday. You were depressed in the hospital for sure. That's just a fucking terrible way to end it for fucking Grant Dawson. Now, we have the main event of the evening, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. And Jan Blachowicz looked like a fucking prince in the octagon. Unfortunately, he got tagged pretty bad inside the second round. He won rounds 1 and 3, but he got tagged pretty bad in the second round, and Guskov just kind of smacked him out. And it's really unfortunate they got smacked out like that, because he got beat up so bad in the second round, even though he survived and he was fine. He got beat up so bad in the second round, they gave him a 10-8 for Guskov. And this is kind of similar to what's happened to Jan previously with like Magomed Ankalaev and stuff, and you know, Alex Pereira. He starts to fight really well, and then he eventually just kind of like falls apart at some point, and it causes the fucking judges to always be so questionable about him. And it kind of bothers me, because I thought Jan actually won this fight. I thought it was a 10-9 in the second round. I did not think Jan was that close to getting finished. I thought the 1-2 that dropped Jan was while he was backing up, so the slip knockdown wasn't even that bad. The ground and pound was pretty nasty, but Jan wasn't even opened up that bad. He wasn't really out. He got hit with a couple good shots, but I think it was just more like a loud noise than anything. He was getting cracked, but knowing Jan, he's been hit by worse. Like, he's been knocked out by Thiago Santos. Like, he's been hit by really, really bad strikes. And he's 42 years of age. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I guess, though, if you don't give that a 10-8, you probably would never give anything a 10-8. You know, it bothered me. I want Jan to win a fight, man. I want him to, you know, go to the end of his career with at least 30 and just end it. I think he's trying to literally get to 30 and just end it, and he just can't get to it. But it's a good fight. It was a really solid fight for Bogdan Guskov. Actually showed a lot of his skill, showed a lot of his grit, and the fact that he doesn't really have a lot of stamina in the third round still. He fights with his hands down, mouth wide open. He will get knocked out by someone that is a little bit more intuitive than he is, like Carlos Ulberg. Fucking Yuri would put him out really, really quick in the first round probably. But a good win, or a good draw nonetheless. A really good fight in general. I wish Jan would have used his leg kicks. He would have went shin to shin with Bogdan Guskov. There would have been a whole different fight, in my opinion. Now, next on the main card, you had a really sad fight in Peyton Talbot versus Henry Triple C Cejudo. This was the retirement fight for Henry Cejudo. It was a really unfortunate retirement fight as well. Peyton Talbot beat the fuck out of him, dropped him twice, hurt Henry really fucking bad, to the point where it looked like Henry was going to go out for the first time in his career since Demetrius Johnson. Henry barely hung on, excuse me. I think it was honestly Peyton Talbot who let him hang on, because I think Peyton Talbot had it whenever he wanted it, didn't really take the shot to put him away. And if he was really trying to put him away and he couldn't get it, that's pretty crazy, because Henry Cejudo had some grit, man. He was still throwing back full force trying to put Peyton Talbot out. He actually cracked him really bad with one shot too, and I think it was round 3 or something. Cejudo tried, man, but it's just, when you're 5'4", when you're an old school UFC bantamweight, bro, you're not there anymore. You're just not. Like, he's fighting a 5'10" kid who's got 6.5 inches more than he does. He was getting pieced up on the outside the whole time. The takedowns didn't work. Peyton Talbot was just too aware of it. The sprawl was too easy. He's not Triple C anymore, man. He's at the point in his career where these kids are just, they've been watching him their whole lives. They grew up watching him. Peyton Talbot was watching that guy for 9 years while he was growing up. Fuck. Like, he's watched everything he's done. He knows everything leading up until that point. It's just too easy. Unfortunately, Henry Cejudo retires. Thank you, Henry, for the amazing career that we got to watch while you didn't retire or fake retire for a little bit to try and create some bullshit hype. You probably should have stayed around. But, nonetheless, still appreciative of the time that we got. Peyton Talbot gets a nice win on the record. Another legend to add to the books for the UFC, and another legend to add to the book for Peyton Talbot. Now, next on the main card, you had Tetsuro Taira versus Brandon Moreno. I had a bad taste in my mouth with this one. Brandon Moreno wins the first round. Tetsuro Taira ends up taking him down and taking the back in the second round and beating the fuck out of him from the back. But Brandon Moreno is moving, and he's actually moving to his knees. He's actually trying to get up, and the ref stopped the fight while he's getting punched from back mount. Now, I understand he got flattened out at one point, and it looked pretty bad. But I don't think you can necessarily stop and it's Mark Smith too, which bothered me. I don't think you can necessarily stop the fight while the fighter is still moving and still trying to make... Like, it's not like he's just covering up and getting his ass beat to submission. He's literally actively moving, trying to get out of the situation, which he almost had because Tetsuro Taira's leg was starting to come undone because he was going to his knees and peeling it back. So I'm a little bit confused with that one. Moreno gets knocked out actually finished in general for the first time in his career. He has 8 losses before this, and they were all by decision. He ends up getting his first loss by knockout. And it's just an unfortunate one because I don't think he was out. I don't think it was time to call that fight, and I think he could have went a little bit longer. Even if it's 10 seconds longer, let it be 10 seconds longer. You got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. 4-time champ or 5-time champ, like fucking Quadra series with Davidson Figueiredo. Like, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. You can't just stop that fight and just give it up. I had a bit of a problem with that one, but it is what it is. Tetsuro Taira gets a good win on the record, adds a legend to his victory roster, and he's moving on for the title next probably, which is probably Joshua Van, because the co-main event of the evening was Joshua Van versus Alexandre Pantoja. We had a freak accident, an absolute freak accident, with Joshua Van just getting so lucky. He's 24 years of age, and he becomes the second youngest UFC champion ever because Alexandre Pantoja, after throwing a high kick, posts up on his right arm, I believe, and his right arm gives out on him. Or maybe it was the left arm. I think it was the left arm. But his left arm gave out on him, completely blew out, and they had to stop the fight right away. And Alexandre Pantoja loses by knockout / TKO because of doctor stoppage. They had to stop the fight. His arm was just finished. A good win for Joshua Van, I guess. Just for the record books, I guess. That will probably never be beaten for a while. Second youngest UFC champion ever, 24 years and 1 month. It's interesting to see what will happen inside the flyweight division. I don't know if they'll move forward. I don't know if they'll let Joshua Van fight right away. But nonetheless, it's probably nice for Joshua Van to add a couple zeros to the paycheck and add a couple more things that he can get for his family. Unfortunate for Pantoja. He's going to have to try and crawl back and get that shit back. But an injury like that to your arm, man, it might affect everything. It might affect your takedowns. It might affect how you feel on that arm. It might affect your pain levels. It might affect everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back and if he's going to be able to do as well as he did before. Askarov, too. He doesn't even fight here anymore. A little bit weird. Or Askarov. Whatever. It's good for Joshua Van. Just for the highlights, I guess, that we'll have soon. Because they're going to force a Tetsuro Taira fight, and that'll be crazy. Now, the main event of the evening. If you guys enjoyed it so far, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. We had Petr Yan take on Merab Dvalishvili for the Bantamweight Championship of the world. And Merab, I really felt like he was a proper favorite here. Minus 430 favorite. I did, however, have a bit of a problem with Merab fighting this year again. He had 3 weight cuts leading up until this. He just fought Corey in October, and now he's fighting in December. I understand he's trying to fight for Dana. He's trying to fight for entertainment. You can't do that anymore. You're at the point in your career where you're trying to make yourself known as the greatest of all time. He's probably already done that, but Petr Yan is nothing to fuck with, bro. You cannot fuck with this guy. You need a full training camp for this. This isn't like, oh, we're just going to keep training after the last fight. Let's just keep training. No, you need a full camp. You need like 6 weeks of full training after taking like 2 months of rest, because he didn't take any rest. He just kept going. And Petr Yan is a guy you need to have a game plan for. You need to figure him out because he's got crazy punches. He's got really, really good boxing. He's got really, really fucking crazy to take down defense. And he's always had that through his entire career. He doesn't have the injury anymore. His ACL is fully repaired. His arm is fine. I think his shoulder's healed, and he's back to dude. A fully healthy Petr Yan is scary as fuck. Merab Dvalishvili had a lot of issue with entering on the inside. He got pieced up really, really bad. No takedowns ever worked for him the entire fight, and Petr Yan just stayed on the inside and beat the fuck out of Merab. Every single round was Petr Yan, in my opinion. They gave Merab a 48-47 and a 49-46. Both are fucking crazy, by the way, because I don't know what round you give him, because they said round 1 and 2 they gave to Merab, which is fucking bad shit, by the way. And by the way, after 3 rounds, they were telling Merab that he was up 3 in the corner. They said, don't worry, you're up 3. You were not up 3, brother. I don't know what fucking corner you have that's telling you that. Get rid of them. Get rid of all of them. That's Matt Serra and those guys. Get rid of them. I love Matt Serra too. I actually genuinely do. I think he's one of the best trainers ever. Get rid of him. If he's telling you you're up 3, fucking get rid of him. There's no way you're up 3. You're getting your ass whooped by Yan. You look like shit. Your face looks like a fucking tomato. Yan looks perfect. And you're getting your fucking shit pushed in. And they're telling you you're up 3. Get the fuck out of here. Terrible trainers. Terrible advice from Merab's corner. And an absolute crazy upset for Petr Yan and a fantastic fight. It was an absolute beauty to watch. It was one of the greatest performances of all time. One of the greatest championship performances of all time. And possibly one of the greatest fights of 2025. We lead up into the last fight card of the year, which is Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape, which is on Saturday, the 13th of December, 2025, starting at early 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that will be the final card of the modern pay-per-view era. That's all I got for you guys this weekend. That was the final pay-per-view recap and breakdown for the year and for the entire UFC history. We will lead into the Paramount era where we no longer have pay-per-view cards and we can finally get a full look through at every single card. That's all I got for you guys this week. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys for the predictions and breakdowns for the upcoming card, and that will be it. We will go into some compilations for the year and some reaction videos, and we will probably see if we can get some decent viewage that way. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.